Hi, I'm Tom Miggott from Tom Miggott Photography. This is a second episode of a series on how we can trigger external flashes. If you haven't watched the first episode, which was about using the built-in pop-up flash, I really invite you to do so because I've covered many notions there that I won't be repeating today. So today I want to talk to you a bit different way to trigger your external flashes, and that is to use an infrared commander. And this is what I have in my hand. This is the Yongnuo version. It's identical, pretty much identical to the Canon one, and it also shares the same reference, STE2. One thing to know though is that the Yongnuo one was released after the Canon one and was slightly improved, like the batteries being used, and also the infrared beam. They claim that it's actually stronger. I believe you have the same for Nikon and also maybe Pentax and Sony. So what is it? Well, it's basically like a TV remote control, nothing more, nothing less. Here at the front on the big panel, you will have an infrared beam that will be emitted and trigger your flashes. Underneath it, it's a very nifty feature. Because most of the time when you're going to take exposures with flashes, you might not have much ambient light and you might struggle establishing the focus. Well, this feature will actually emit some red lines, vertical and horizontal, onto your subject, so you will be able to focus on those lines and therefore focus on your subject and get your exposure. So very nice feature. On the back we have a few buttons, very simple. You have a picture here with more detail. Basically you have your channel selection, the CH, you have the ratio button with the arrows right or left, then you have the on-off button. Above this you have a button with an H, that's the high sync speed flash mode. I won't be talking about it today. I will do a specific video very soon on this. And then you have a button with a lighting strike on it, that's the test button. So today, what do we have? Well, we have my Canon 60D on a tripod. We have the Canon Nifty 50, so 50mm 1.8 Mark II, and we have two slave flashes, the Yongnuo 565 EX, both using channel 1, so I'll make sure that my commander is on channel 1, and we have a favorite model Baby Sky, like the last time. Just like the last time, there are lights here in the studio so you guys can actually see me, but those lights don't interfere with our exposure. I'm using the sync speed. If you do not know what a sync speed is, I really encourage you to watch this video. There's a link right here where I explain you everything about it. It's very interesting, really. So here on my Canon, this is 1/250th of a second. I'm using ISO 100 and an aperture of f8. If I take an exposure right now, you will see this is pitch black, so no information. The light do not interfere with my exposure. Let's plug the infrared commander on the hot shoe. I'm turning it on now, and I'm going to take an exposure. What's going to happen is I'm going to have equal power on both sides with my flashes. So let's see. You can see same power on the left than on the right. Now if I actually enable the ratio button, I can say, well, I want 8 times more power on the right side than I have on my left. So very simple. I'll do this, I'll take an exposure, no surprise, you can see the result. Same thing on the other side. I mean, you guys know what to expect anyway. Here it is. So this is identical to what you could do with a built-in pop-up flash. So one question comes to mind: why would you want to buy this when you have it for free with your built-in pop-up flash? Well, a few reasons really. Some DSLR do not have a built-in pop-up flash. I'm thinking of pro cameras in general. I know Nikon have, on some model, have the built-in pop-up flash, but Canon do not. So like the 5D Mark I, Mark II, Mark III, they don't have a pop-up flash. So you do need a trigger of some sort. That could be it. You also heard me mentioning the high sync speed mode for flashes. Well, if you wanted to use that mode, you wouldn't be able to do it with your built-in pop-up flash. You remember some of the drawback of the built-in pop-up flash was distance between your camera and your flashes. Well, while this one, you could go up to 25-30 meters while shooting outside, so which is slightly more than with your built-in pop-up flash. If you were to shoot inside, it will work pretty well because the beam would actually reflect, bounce on surfaces. Watch out for glass, such as windows and doors as well. You may lose the beam there, but it does require some kind of line of sight, a bit like your built-in pop-up flash. One nice thing as well is if your flashes were to be behind you, well, you could actually rotate your commander and face or go more towards your flash. So that's a pretty good thing. Another advantage as well that you guys have seen is that I didn't go into the menus, unlike with the built-in pop-up flash, because there's never buttons on the camera itself to do the ratio and everything. So I was actually able to do it directly from the back of the infrared commander. So that's a very nice feature as well. It's quicker. So that's pretty much all there is to know about this infrared commander. In our next episode, we're going to see the final version, the final way of triggering your external flashes, and that is to use radio triggers. And until then, this is Tommy Good saying, if you like it, well, capture it, and maybe with your infrared commander. Ciao.